I did a live stream showing in real time the before and after difference when using Reno DX HDR mod on the PC. And let me tell you, I guarantee you 100% that after you try Reno DX add-on to reshade on any game, there's no way you will ever use SDR for gaming on the PC. The difference is absolutely huge. And it is not only that the gamma looks correct, you can actually see on the darkness, the colors look right, and it can be as bright as you want. Just type in the brightness that you need. It's not only that, you actually get more detail. Okay, 16 times the detail, bro. Okay, so if you look at it before and after, and I really tried, lowering the brightness of my TV and the camera settings so you can see this, because it's like impossible for my camera to capture these differences. But if you see the before and after, it's like, okay, well, I cannot see any detail right here. Like there's there's something there, probably a tree, but I cannot distinguish anything. And when I turn it on, it's like everything is right there, perfectly, crystal clear, bro. You have to try Reno DX HDR Mods on the PC. Now, there's a universal RenoDX mod for Unreal Engine games that works for many Unreal Engine games, so that's going to be a huge percentage of the games available, Unreal Engine. So that it's just downloading one single file, you install Reshade with full add-on support, and then just drop that file, done, it just works. But for other games, you have to download specifically the mod that was created for that game. So the way this thing works, and the reason why you need to download a game, in a per game basis mod, is because this is modifying the shaders. It's like the code. These developers change the code to reveal. They don't change the creator's intent, actually. They show you everything that's running on the background. So these details, they didn't invent it with the code. They didn't add more details or increase the draw distance or anything like that. Those details are there, but on SDR at the engine level, there's a lot of things that are clipping. It's missing. You don't see it. Or it looks white when it is supposed to be blue. For example, this is the sky right here. If I turn this off, it looks white. So everything is there at the engine level. These developers with RenoDX, they try their best using the standards, okay? Using the HDR standards. It's not like they are, playing with reshade up and down, increasing the color saturation. That's not what this is, okay? This is fixing the HDR at the engine level, or sometimes adding HDR to games that don't even support HDR at all, like this game, Kina, Bridge of Spirits. Now, if you wonder, well, but how about RTX HDR or Windows 11 Auto HDR? Is RenoDX better? Yes, it's not even close. And the reason is RTX HDR can look great, but it's not going to reveal those details that are being clipped on SDR. And for RTX HDR, the games that are originally sRGB gamma, SDR sRGB gamma, you are going to get black crushing. And this is something that NVIDIA needs to fix. They need to identify, especially when they have a validation process for the games. They have to identify, okay, was this game originally sRGB or Gamma 2.2. And they are not doing that. So RTX HDR works well for originally SDR Gamma 2.2 games, which is the majority of them. But when you find a game that was originally sRGB and you use RTX HDR, you're going to crush details and you cannot see on the darkness. Okay? Now Windows 11 Auto HDR is all the opposite. That works well for games that are originally SDR sRGB and you can see well in the darkness. But with RenoDX, you can just change that. You can either do 2.2 gamma correction or not, depending on the game. Now, how do you determine that you're gonna use your eyes? So the only settings that you have to really change with this mod is the peak brightness, depending on your monitor and the tone mapping that your display has. So that peak brightness, you can also increase the mid-tones of brightness, again, depending on your display or just based on your taste. But also, if you want to get more visibility near black and you want to increase the shadow details, you can do that. And you can do that without raising the black floor, losing the perfect blacks, and washing out all the colors. Also, if you like juiced up colors, because why not? You have a saturation slider that you can increase with RenoDX, and you get it as saturated as you want. It's like whatever. So you don't have to mess with TV settings at all. All you need, so this is something very important to understand. HDR has all the performance of your display. You are not missing out with accurate HDR. You are not missing out on brightness or color saturation. If the content is bright and colorful, that's what you're gonna see, and if it's not, that's what you're gonna see. So now the problem and the misunderstanding, misconceptions, frustrations, call it in any way, they come from video content that absolutely sucks, like Netflix. For example, I was surprised. Netflix HDR absolutely sucks. I mean, most of the content is very dim, it's not impressive, and it's not very colorful. So when people see that, they're like, oh, I don't know, filmmaker mode sucks and it looks terrible. No, it's the content, bro. It's the content. If it was mastered to be 300 nits, of course, that's not impressive. But it's the content. Now for PC gaming, you don't have to mess with the TV settings, especially having this RenoDX HDR mod. All you have to do is a static tone mapping, for example, on these Samsung TVs, or HGIG with your LG, OLED, or the most accurate, HDR tone mapping of your display with the most accurate white balance, with the most accurate color saturation setting and shadow detail. You want to have HDR as accurate as possible. And yes, that will give you all the performance of your display 100%. You're not going to be missing out anything. All the opposite. It's gonna look better, because what happens when you start increasing the color saturation of your TV, or using active tone mapping or dynamic tone mapping on your LG, and start messing around with the TV settings, all you're doing is you're clipping the colors. So what that means is that you are losing the amount of shades of the color you have. So for example, let's say this TV is clipping the color red at 1000 nits with the color saturation at 25, for example. If I increase the color saturation, what's gonna happen is now the color red starts, as I increase the colors, the color red starts clipping before and before and before. So now I will be clipping at 900, 800, 700. So what that means is, if the game has two different shades of red, one is 700 nits and the other one is 900 nits, you will not see any difference. Okay, it's gonna look the same. It's going to look max out. Is that good? No, it's not good, because you are not able to distinguish the difference between them. You're losing colors actually by increasing the color saturation. So these vivid mode settings that some people have learned to appreciate, they are not necessary when the content is calling for all the performance of your display. Okay? So my point is, PC gaming, HDR, RenoDX, accurate HDR settings, that is the absolute best picture quality you can get. And of course, native HDR games that are very good, that could be even better if the developers do a good job. But unfortunately, as we have learned by having a conversation with these RenoDX HDR modders, and even we had a live stream with the creator of RenoDX ShortFuse, we have learned by analyzing the codes on these games that the codes are wrong, and that these developers sometimes they don't know what they're doing. So what they do is they fix the code. That's why we know it is wrong, because after they fix the code, then it looks fantastic. Okay? So unfortunately, yes. But I hope, as newer games come out and HDR is more and more mainstream every day, especially with all these OLED monitors that we now have, I hope that that's gonna be a thing of the past. Hopefully. So then you don't have to use any mods, and then you can enjoy good HDR on the consoles. That's another thing. Sometimes people say or think, well, HDR gaming on the PC is a mess. If you want the best HDR, you're gonna go console gaming. No. Out of the box, maybe. Some games on the console look great and they might be broken on the PC when it comes to HDR. But you have mods on the PC to really, get it right. Okay, and this is the absolute best that we have. So link in the description of the video to the main RenoDX HDR page. All these mods are free, although you can support the developers. I want to become a developer. Okay, I need to learn a lot. Okay, I have to learn how to code, or at least use ChatGPT to fix some of the stuff. And we already had a live stream with the creator of RenoDX, and also with ShortFuse, and also with Musa, which is another creator. Very, very interesting live streams. I'm gonna link them in the description of the video. So in those live streams, we got everything set up and ready to begin learning. And I will absolutely follow up with them. And when I come back from my vacations, I'm gonna get into it. Okay, I want to learn how to do this, because I find this to be very interesting, and also I think learning how to do this is going to help me in my future, just for my intellectual development. This is some advanced stuff. And of course, when I learn, I'm going to share. I'm gonna share, and hopefully we can get more people to join the RenoDX creators or modders army. So we can fix all the games. So every time a game comes out, there's always gonna be someone who is interested in that, and boom, we get the mod, and we get awesome HDR, even if the game doesn't support it. So this is awesome for indie developers that don't have, reference monitors and all the, the capabilities to develop HDR the best way. It doesn't matter. We can get it. Okay. So I wanted to say that first, and just again to clear, because here's the thing, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing this for a while, and a lot of people come to the channel, seeking answers, because they see on the internet, sometimes they see conflicting information, and they ask, they ask things like this: "Oh, what should I use? RTX HDR, this or that? What's the best way? Or, the best TV settings, or the settings that I use, or all of that." And I think it is very important to understand for everyone that the reason why there's so much confusion about what is the best settings or the best way to use this thing is because we have many options, and some of the options are broken. Okay, and for example, SDR, accurate SDR, doesn't have all the performance of these TVs. It doesn't. So you don't get all the brightness, you don't get all the color saturation. On SDR, you are going to clamp the color gamut if you use accurate settings, like your filmmaker mode. So that doesn't make any sense. Why would you buy a capable HDR TV or display to reduce the brightness and the colors of the display because the content is not HDR? That doesn't make any sense. So I totally agree. If you have no choice because you are watching video content, although some of these streaming devices today, they have the option to auto HDR everything, and I use that actually. I think it's better. But let's say you have no choice and you have to watch HDR, yeah, I would use it up. I would increase the brightness, max out, absolutely, make sure the near black, I can see all the shadow detail, make sure I'm not clipping the colors, but I would definitely go beyond SDR colors because it's like a waste. It's like a waste. But the problem when you do that is that now skin tones start to look a little bit messed up, and you're gonna start seeing things that don't look natural. They look wrong. That's the problem. The content is garbage. So on HDR that doesn't happen, because on HDR you can have accurate skin tones with max out brightness and color saturation, and you get that color saturation where the content is calling for it. Now the problem with HDR is that sometimes the content is not calling for brightness or color saturation. So you bought your shiny brand new HDR QDOLED TV, and you want to see those colors all the time on every single content, and the content doesn't have those colors. But do not get confused that means that, for example, your movie mode or filmmaker mode on your TV, that sucks. The content might suck, but if that mode is as accurate as it can be out of the box, then if the content is bright and colorful, that's what you're going to see, and that's going to look the best. Okay, the confusion comes from content that's like 300 nits, it's not colorful, it's not bright, it doesn't use the full potential of your display, and then you go to vivid mode or copy settings from somewhere on the internet, and you see, wow, it looks better. Of course it does, because that content sucks. But if you go to a PC and you use something like these, or native HDR that's actually utilizing HDR colors and brightness, you don't need to do that. And actually, if you use those juiced up settings in vivid mode, you are going to make it worse. It's not going to look better. You're gonna make it worse. And again, right here, for example, let's say I want to get more color saturation. Boom. Disgusting color saturation. Is that better? Of course not. Of course that's not better. Now, you want to have it a little bit more green? Yeah, you can half add it. You can increase the color saturation here, but it is better to juice up the content than to mess up the TV. Because here what's happening is I'm going to see the maximum color saturation that my TV can give me, but the TV is not clipping. The content is increasing the brightness, but the TV is not. So you are not going to lose details from the TV settings. So I think if you want to juice up the gains, you're going to use reshape like I'm doing here, or you use the in-game settings. So that is to answer, in general, the question, what's the best? RTX HDR, Windows 11 Auto HDR, or Reno DX? Reno DX is the best, okay? You can have some native HDR games that can be better than Reno DX, so Reno DX is not necessary. You might not see a mod for that game. if you don't have the option to use Reno DX and there's no native HDR, use RTX HDR if the game was originally Gamma 2.2, SDR Gamma 2.2. How do you know that? You know that by using RTX HDR looking in the darkness, and if it's not crushing blacks, so if you can see well in the darkness, then that means that content was SDR Gamma 2.2 and you are fine with RTX HDR. It looks great. Now, if RTX HDR looks too dark, then you can use Windows 11 Auto HDR. Use the HDR calibration app to set the peak brightness, and that would be a good option. We also have a Special K. Honestly, I have to go back to Special K and check it out again, because I really never gave a Special K a chance. A Special K is a very powerful tool that can do a lot of things more than Reshade. Actually, Reshade could be like a plugin inside a Special K. So I'll definitely get into Special K one of these days. Okay, so that summarizes that idea. Now, next thing I want to answer for those who come to the channel. They see, okay, well, this guy cares about the TVs. He talks about the QDOLED, WRGB, the different technologies, the brightness, HDR, and all of that. Okay, well, what's the best TV, bro? I see some people are saying this, some people saying that. Look, right now, at the consumer level, the best TV technology that we have is QDOLED. There's no discussion about that. You have to turn off the lights. Okay, right now this TV doesn't look good at all. Okay, it looks washed out because I have studio lights pointing directly into the TV, and I have lights on the ceiling, lights everywhere. So if you care about picture quality, regardless of QDOLED, WRGB, whatever you get, you have to turn off the lights anyway, because especially for HDR, because HDR Gamma doesn't consider the ambient light. Now, some of these TVs have sensors and have a mode that tries to compensate for that. So it would raise the shadow detail, for example, if you have some lights on the room, but that's never gonna be ideal. None of those settings will ever be. This is always a compromise. So HDR was designed to be in a dark room. If you are not in a completely dark room, you're missing out. It's that simple. Okay, you have to turn off the lights. Now, when you turn off the lights, QD-OLED, it just looks the best. And nothing comes even close. So from the QD-OLEDs, we have Sony, which doesn't have all the gaming features, 120 hertz. They did lower the price, so the pushback for the Bravia 8 Mark II, it worked. So that's a good thing. So it's not like if the price goes down below the competition, it is an option, absolutely. So we have Sony and we have Samsung, okay? Samsung absolutely sucks. Okay, I'm not a fan of Samsung at all, okay? These so many issues with Samsung. I mean, right here before starting to record a video, I had an issue with G-Sync and the blackout screen. I had to restart the PC and connect the second monitor to change the settings. And why? I mean, the quality control, I had to replace this TV like 2 times. I went through 6 Samsung QD-OLEDs to end up with 2. So definitely, if you're going to get a Samsung TV, make sure you can replace them. Get like a membership. I got like a, I'm not gonna promote them, but I got a membership that allowed me to return them as much as I needed, and it was a lifesaver. So quality control is absolutely terrible. I mean, I got so many issues like bent screens, dead pixels, you name it, broken audio. I mean, terrible. But you have no choice, bro. It's like, I wish there was an LG QDOLED, a Panasonic QDOLED, I mean any other brand, TCL, Hisense, whatever, to have more options. But the thing is, if you want the best technology, you have to get a QDOLED for gaming, especially for PC gaming. And Samsung is the only way. And for PC gaming specifically, right now we have the S95F, which is at 165 Hertz. So it is the highest refresh rate, the brightest QD-OLED. So there's no question about it. That's the best TV for gaming right now. It's like there's no discussion about that. It cannot be. Okay? Nothing comes even close to the S95F. Now, some people recently have been asking me about the S95F specifically because there's some conflicting information out there. Yes, the matte finish absolutely sucks, okay? And I would not buy the S95F if I was not able to remove that matte finish. But fortunately, I can remove the matte finish. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to buy an S95F and I'm going to peel off the matte finish. Now, if you try to peel off the matte finish, yes, it's a big risk to breaking the TV, voiding the warranty and all of that. But for me, I would not even buy the TV if I was not able to do that because I absolutely hate that matte finish. But even with the matte finish, the S95F is still the best TV out there. It's the brightest QD-OLED, and when it comes to QD-OLED, it's very simple. The brighter, the better. Very simple, unless there's something like terribly wrong with the calibration of the TV and you cannot fix that with settings. It's very simple. Okay, so the S95F is the best TV regardless of all the issues, bugs, one connect box, broken audio, matte finish, Samsung. So all those downsides, it's still the best TV. So get that, remove the matte finish if you can. If not, just live with it. That's what I'm gonna do. Now, don't try to remove the matte finish dry, okay? I have a lot of people who send me emails with proof of them removing the matte finish on their QD-OLED monitors. I mean, especially with monitors. People have been removing the matte finish on the QD-OLED monitors like a lot. I have a lot of pictures with evidence of people doing that successfully and everyone is blown away. I don't have a single person sending me an email telling me, oh, I removed the matte finish and it looks worse now. All the opposite. People are like blown away. They're like, man, this is just absolutely unbelievable. This looks so much better, so much clearer, so much more black. Some people even say that the tint, this magenta tint, it gets reduced on the monitors and on the TVs. They're like, it's almost completely gone. So it seems like the glue between the matte finish and the actual screen that's giving you this tint, this ugly look that the TV has. So, but the thing is, a $3,000 plus TV, man. So it's a big risk. Don't do it dry. I did some live streams with Luke, the AG Slayer, who was the person who discovered that this could be done, or at least the person who made it public. He didn't recommend you to do it dry. He did it dry because he bought his S95D, so this can be done on the S95D or S95F. He bought it with a scratch on the screen. So for him, it was like, okay, whatever. He tried it, and he got a big discount. He got a 77-inch for $1,650. Okay, $1,700 for a 77-inch S95D. That is ridiculous. Okay, so that is the perfect case scenario to remove the matte finish. You buy it very cheap because the screen has a small scratch. You remove that, you have a brand new TV, glossy and absolutely amazing. Behind that matte finish, you have the glossiest TV in the world. So it's gonna be fantastic. Now, he's an expert when it comes to removing the coatings because he has been doing it for a long time to CRTs, LCD monitors, you name it. So he has done it many, many times. He has a lot of pictures and experience in doing this with different methods. The method that he recommended to remove the matte finish on these QD-OLEDs was the wet paper towel method. And we did a live stream where he explained specifically how to do that. You have to use paper towels, get them wet, and let the TV for like 7 hours or from one day to the next. And then you have to make sure it stays wet. And once the water gets in, it dilutes the glue between the matte finish and the screen, so it peels right off very easily. He showed pictures of that. And people sent me pictures actually doing that to an S90D, doing that to this TV. That doesn't have a matte finish, but it has a semi-glossy finish that doesn't peel off if you try to do it with your dry. It's not gonna happen. They do it with a wet paper towel method and it works. Now, I would not do it because this semi-glossy finish is not terrible. It's not a big deal. I would not do it on this one. But let's say in the future, I scratch the screen a little bit, moving the TV to a different location or something like that. I know that there's a way out where I can get rid of that scratch. So it is very good to know that I have that possibility in the future. So check out those live streams with Luke. If you want to go through the process of removing the matte finish, use the wet paper towel method, which is the safest and easiest way. A lot of people that do it dry have a struggle. The thing is, people saw Luke doing it and it looked super easy because he's an expert on doing this thing. So of course it looked easy, but it's not that easy to remove. FOMO also did it and it was not easy for him. And I'm sure I tried to do it, I'm gonna struggle if I do it dry. So I will use the wet paper towel method. Okay, so we did this, we have a crowdfunding to get the S95F to show the process in real time. I'm gonna peel it off with a wet paper towel method. And if it takes the whole day, live stream whole day, I'm gonna show you the process in real time. Actually, I am going to, when I get the S95F with this crowdfunding, okay, we need that because it was not on my plans. It was not on my plans to get the S95F. I got the 5090, I have no more money. Okay, so now that I discovered the matte finish can be removed, I'm like, yeah, I need that. So what I'm gonna do when I get the S95F, hopefully we can get it Black Friday if the price goes down enough and the crowdfunding keeps going up. Otherwise, we'll get it next year. But it's gonna happen. And when it happens, I'm going to do this live stream 4K. Okay, I'm going to buy a streaming service for my phone, something where I can do the live stream 4K, and it's as long as it takes. 8 hours, 10 hours, don't care. I'm gonna show the process in real time, and I'm gonna show the struggle or maybe how easy it is, so people can see it and then have it like evidence, proof that exactly how difficult or easy this thing is. So, conclusions: PC gaming, big QDOLED TV, Reno DX HDR. That's where it's at. Okay, and S95F is the best TV in the world. Look, there's no contrast issue on that TV. Okay, if you want to change the gamma, I show how to do that. There's a way to change the gamma table of the TV. So if you want to crush blacks because you think the TV has bad contrast, which means it looks too bright near black, and the problem the content looks washed out, is because the content is washed out. But when you play PC gaming with the right settings, the content is not washed out. Okay? If you have all the visibility near black. But let's say the S95F indeed looks too bright near black. I saw the RTIN's accuracy report, and yes, it's a little bit raised, but it's not a big deal. The S90D is raised too. And I raised it even more with my settings. So I don't think it is true. The S95F looks washed out at all. Okay? But if you want to change completely the EOTF tracking, you have the settings to do that on the service menu, and I show how to do that. You can change the clipping point, near black, the entire gamma with these settings that I share: M9, M22, M23, M24, M10, all these settings that I share. You can change these Samsung QD-OLED TVs to look the way you want. Exactly the way you want. That's absolutely amazing. So there is no concerns from my part on buying the Samsung S95F because it has bad contrast, because I can fix it. If it needs to be fixed, and I don't think so. Okay, so yeah, best TV in the world, absolutely is the brightest. We can get 4,000 nits by going into the service menu, and I will absolutely do that. Actually, 4,100 nits in a 10% window. That's absolutely incredible. Okay, absolutely insane. So over 400 nits full screen and over 4,000 nits in a 10% window, nothing comes even close. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna happen. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm going to be with my family. I will come back this weekend, not the next weekend. I'll be back and I'm going to resume to more regular videos. I mean, I've been on vacations, I've been busy, practicing my guitar. I also not open a channel, maybe I open a new one, but I'll try to upload more guitar videos to my guitar channel and see if that goes up. If it doesn't, then I'll open a new one. So I'll be more busy with YouTube when I come back. So let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.